I am joined now by Eddie, who is a spokesperson for Just Stop Oil. Eddie, great stuff. How are you?
I'm well, thanks. Nice to see you again.
Good, yes, good to see you again. Thanks for coming back. So, we are awaiting the verdict when it comes to sentencing now for these individuals. We were hoping to have had it now, but we haven't. So, do you expect them to go to prison?
Well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I hope the worst that happens is that they get suspended sentences. But really, I think what we need to be talking about is why did 4 young people, a mother of 4, and a former health and safety officer feel compelled to do this in the first place?
Yeah, no, I get that side of things. I'm wondering about their prospects of employment and things like that afterwards. I mean, they've got a criminal record now. I know a lot of people in Just Stop Oil do as a result of the protest. Is that something that bothers you?
Patrick, you had me on last week, and so I've told you this already, but, 1.5 degrees of warming is now locked in. 2 degrees of warming is likely. If we go over 2 degrees, we could destabilise global civilization. So I think employment prospects are the least of my worries, certainly at the moment.
I'm just going to go back. I've got a list here of things from as far back as 1967, new ice age coming by 2020. We've got the Maldives will be completely underwater by 2018. I was there last year, actually. It's lovely. Only 500 days before climate chaos. That was in 2014. Oil gone in 10 years. That was in 1966. Why should we believe you now?
Well, I'm not asking you to believe me. I'm asking you to believe the IPCC, who say that, if we don't take emergency action, then we risk any chance of a livable future is gone.
Yeah. What's the difference between the experts that are saying this now and the experts who were saying that we'd all be dead 30 years ago?
Well, we didn't have supercomputers back then.
So supercomputers have changed the game, have they, massively when it comes to
the point is the research has come light years, and with each publication it gets scarier and scarier. So you can cherry pick examples from the past, or you can focus on, what over 11,000 scientists are saying, because that's what the IPCC is. It's made up of 11,000 scientists who are not paid. They review all the peer-reviewed publications that have come out, and they are saying if we do not take emergency action, we're doomed.
So if this lot today are given prison sentences, I know Insulate Britain were at one point, they seem to have stopped now, would that deter someone like yourself from civil disobedience protesting?
Sorry, could you just repeat the question, Patrick?
If the people today, the 6 people who are awaiting sentencing, do get sent to prison, will that deter you from future action?
No, not at all. I mean, I've been to prison before and, prison was not nice, but it's absolutely nothing compared with what we're facing if we go over 1.5 or 2 degrees of warming.
Can I ask, what do you do for work?
I'm a full-time student.
Oh, OK. All right. So have you got a student loan?
I do, yes.
OK, all right. I'm just wondering, because it seems like taxpayers maybe are paying for your education and then paying for you to obviously be fed and watered when you're in prison, and then coming out, we might have to pay for you in the long run, because I don't know how easy it might be to get a job with a criminal record.
Yeah, can we just bring this back to the main issue, which is that we're facing the greatest crisis humanity is ever facing, and we're talking about, a few protesters and taxpayers' money. It's a bit disgraceful.
I'm keen to know a bit about the people who were involved with the protesting and potentially blocking roads and, leading and helping to drive policies as well that are, like we spoke about yesterday, potentially going to disadvantage some of the poorest people in society. We're seeing the people who are going to get clobbered with ULEZ charges, people who are going to have to put heat pumps in their homes, etc., buy electric cars. A lot of the time it is impacting the poorest people in society, and I'm just wondering if you have much of a regard for those people, given some of your actions.
Yeah, of course, and I would love us to have cheaper public transport in this country. I would love for the government to insulate our homes. I would love if we had, a mass rollout of renewable energy, which incidentally is 9 times cheaper than new fossil fuels. So yes, absolutely. But the point is, if the government does not do the right thing and commit to ending new fossil fuel licenses, as I say, we do not have a livable future. And I don't know how many times we need to keep repeating this.
OK, all right. And there's been a new report as well that's come out to say that we could do more to mitigate the results of climate change. So not just all about prevention and, having drastic impacts on people's day-to-day lives, as I've said, a lot of people often at the lower end of the income sector as well there, but actually maybe do more to build things like sea defences and stuff like that. Would you be in favour of that, or just about the mitigation side of things?
Well, we've left it so late that we're going to need both, right? Obviously, we need to mitigate, but obviously we will need to adapt as well, if that's what you're asking.
Yeah, okay, all right. So I'm just wondering whether or not, you feel as though we should be spending how much money is the thing I want to know from you. How much money should we be spending when it comes to stopping this? Because if we do want to just stop oil, I think that might mean that we essentially bankrupt ourselves and people might die from various things like famine, etc. Because obviously the use of various different fossil fuels has actually helped to elevate a lot of people out of poverty and increase food production and stuff like that. So is it a bit of a hard balancing act for you, that?
Well, there's a sort of hidden detail in your question, which is, how can we possibly afford to save the world?
Yes.
So not a lot of people know this, but in World War II, I don't know what the figures are for the UK, but in the United States, the United States government spent more money between the years 1942 and 1945 than it had done in real terms in the past 150 years. And that was from the threat of the Axis powers. So we can't say, it's too expensive to save the world, right? I hope that we can agree on that.
OK, all right, look, Eddie, I've just got to have one more with you, if that's all right. And I hope you feel like you've made your point there about, your views on the climate change, etc., and all of this stuff. And I am just keen to know, what do you want to do after university? What's your big ambition? What kind of line of work are you going to go into?
My dream is to be a writer, but any vocation, any dream is looking precarious if we don't sort out the climate crisis.
So are you genuinely so fearful that the world is going to end within your lifetime that you don't care particularly about future employment prospects or anything like that? You are just so convinced that you're going to see the end of the world?
Well, I already have decided that I won't be having children because I can't guarantee that there will be a habitable planet for them to grow up into. OK, is that a difficult decision for you? I mean, that's quite a bold decision to make, isn't it? Well, I think it's the moral choice, given the circumstances that we're facing.
So morally, you think it would be wrong to bring more children into this world?
If we don't sort out the climate crisis.
OK, all right. Well, there you go, Eddie. Thank you very much. That's Eddie there. He's a spokesperson for Just Stop Oil.